You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
If you started your business and you've been doing it solo and you've heard about people talking about their mentor or their coach and wondering, well, is that something I really need? Like, what is the actual value or benefit in having one? Then today's episode is just for you. We deep dive into what mentorship and coaching, what they really mean. What is it that can turn them into I guess you call it a superpower in your business. So if this is the question that you've been trying to solve for your business, then please stay tuned because we've got you coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. I'm so excited to bring you today's interview with the lovely Melissa Koehler. She's a small business strategist who's passionate about helping women build a business they can be proud of. She started with a career as a professional photographer and has since then grown several businesses and brands into very successful ventures and reached that magical $1 million mark. She believes in passion over perfection and the truth that the only superpower you really need is you. Now, Melissa is also an Enneagram certified coach, StoryBrand certified, and host of Confessions of a Serial Entrepreneur podcast. She's the kind of person that you'd really love to have in your corner. And as a mentor through her program, The Blush Pages, that's exactly what she does for so many other women, helping them get started without feeling alone and overwhelmed. Now, we dive into the topic of mentorship in this episode and really explore what it means. Why is it a superpower that helps so many people, including Melissa, to find that success and maybe reach levels of success that you never even thought possible? Melissa credits so much of her own journey to having mentorship for herself. And that's what she's so passionate about, bringing and sharing for others, because she obviously knows so much of the value of it. We also dive into a bit about the Enneagram because, I just love to learn more about personality profiling and how we can become a bit more self-aware of ourselves as business owners, and what that means for you, like how you can use that information really wisely in your business. So this is an episode that is jam-packed, full of value, full of insights, and things that you can use to start becoming more aware of where you are at in your business right now and what sort of support might be right for you to help you find that success that you know is possible. So without further ado, let me play this interview. And if you'd love to connect with Melissa, I've linked up her website and her social media in the show notes. You can head over there and drop us a review on Apple about this episode and let us know what you liked about it, what insights you learned or gained from the topic. And jump over to Instagram. You can tag us there as well. We both would love to hear from you and hear what you got out of this episode. So let's get into it. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Okay, welcome. I'm here with Melissa Koehler, and I've been looking forward to this chat for months. We've had a few reschedules with our busy schedules, as you do, with being mums and business, and we finally connected today. And Melissa, could you give us the quick rundown on exactly what you do and who you serve? What is your business all about?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this too. Okay, so I'm Melissa Koehler. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years now. I started out, my first business was handmade cards and invitations. And I just loved, being crafty with my hands and being able to create beautiful things for people. And through that process, it's I'm telling my little story here because it kind of morphs into where I am today. Through that process, I got hired to design scrapbooks. And for those of you that are listening that remember what scrapbooks were back in the day, people would hire me to design their books for them. And that through that process, I was also on some design teams online and in magazines. And I feel funny saying that sometimes because people are like, that's a thing. Yes, it was a thing. And through that whole process, because as a scrapbooker, you want your pages to look good. And so I said, you know what? I really need to nail down my pictures because a really good picture on a page is going to make the page even better. And in high school, I had taken photography in the darkroom and I thought, you know what? I'm going to really dive back into it. So I purchased a camera and I started taking some classes and really got very, very interested in it. And then I hired a mentor through that process. I loved her so much. I still do. Just incredible process and just learning the ins and outs of photography. And I started practicing on people. Then people asked me to take their pictures and I thought, oh my gosh, I really better know what I'm doing here. And really dove all the way in to knowing how to deal with clients and marketing and branding and all of the things that we have to do as entrepreneurs. And so through that process, people hired me to do their weddings. And then I got to photograph some really great people through my 10 years as a professional photographer. And through that process as a photographer, I also got to mentor many, many photographers around the world. And it was such a joy of mine because I loved being able to hear people's stories and hear their goals and be able to just kind of get into what they wanted for their businesses. And I realized I love helping women build businesses. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing for the last, 10 plus years. I don't even remember. I'm just going to say 10 plus years is helping women to build businesses. And I absolutely love it. And I have a certified story brand guide, if you're familiar with Donald Miller. So I went through that process. I'm a certified Enneagram coach, went through that process. And then I just have years of experience. Just lots of tools in my tool belt, but I love being able to help people just find their voice through their craft.
Yeah. That is such an interesting journey. So scrapbooking to professional photographer and now into full business building mentorship. Wow, that is an incredible story to have. And I wonder what's going to happen in the next 10 years. What will be the next chapter in your life? It could be anything.
I know.
Amazing. So something that you talked about, obviously mentorship. This has been a theme in your history, in your life, because you had a great mentor that really helped you to become what you have become. And then you're now passing that on to other people through your current business. So if we just say, what is mentorship? What does that mean? Because, some people will say, I get a mentor, and other people say, I get a coach. What do you think mentorship means? And what is the difference between that and coaching?
That is a really great question. And I had to do some searching about that years ago because I had people ask me the same thing. Are you a coach? Are you a mentor? And I really labeled myself more of a mentor versus a coach. And I mean, this is my own thinking behind the difference between them. So if you feel differently and anybody else is listening who feels differently, that's okay. That's okay. But I believe a mentor is someone that comes alongside you and helps you realize your potential. And guides you in different areas of where you should be and shouldn't be going. And I guess my mind goes to coach of more of a life coach. I don't know, maybe I'm a hybrid of both. I'm not sure, but I guess I identify more as a mentor versus a coach. Yeah, that's what I think.
That's interesting. And I don't actually know the answer either, which is why I asked you, because I wanted to hear your view. Because I've done both, coming from a corporate background as a manager, I have played a huge mentoring role in my team, although maybe some people might call it a coach. And if you asked me that question, I would wonder, well, I think just from my perception, and I don't know if this is even written down in any dictionary, what the actual definition is, but I feel like a coach often has a a transformation or an outcome that they say, I help you to get here. Whereas a mentor is like, I will mentor you for whatever it is that you want to do, which then I'm like, well, I think a coach kind of does that too. It's just often they maybe have that more defined outcome. Does that land with you?
would
Do you
agree.
think that is the difference?
No, I totally agree with you because as you were talking, I was thinking, well, maybe a mentor is more somebody that comes alongside you and teaches you the things that, like, you've gone before this person and now you get to teach them what you've learned. But a coach can do the same thing.
Yeah.
This is a great question.
Yeah, and I reckon it's one that a lot of people have. Am I looking for a coach? Am I looking for a mentor? I don't know. Like, what is the difference? What do people call themselves? And sometimes people use both terms. I see a lot of profiles on LinkedIn. They say coach and mentor. Like, I could definitely say, yes, I do mentor you, but I also coach you. I guess when I'm working with clients, I'm really trying to help them to overcome the barriers that are in their way, and I'm very much all about helping them to design the business that they want. It's not about cookie cutter of my business. And I think that's maybe just more of a personal approach. Some coaches might say, I've got a method and this is my method and I'll coach you on it. Whereas I'm like, okay, I've got a framework, what you need to get an outcome, but all the pieces you're going to put in are your own. And so I'm going to help you, like, mentor you through how do you make those decisions and how do you get what you really want? Because I think at the end of the day, it's got to be something that's come from within. It's come from you, not from me telling you something, right? So I don't know. What is that? Is that more mentoring? Is it coaching? I don't know. It's confusing.
I feel like that's like a whole nother topic. We should really dive into this and come back because this is a great question.
Yes, it is a really good one. And I think it could be really well debated, couldn't it? This could be like a debating topic. What is it? What is it not? But let's just say for a moment, the question of what does a mentor or coach, whatever we want to call it, what does that actually mean for you as a business owner? Like, why should we have one? What's the value?
Wow. The value is incredible. And I think you don't know what you don't know when you're first starting out. You don't know that you need this person that has gone before you or that has a framework, whatever we're calling this, someone, mentor / coach. You don't know that you need that because you've never been in a situation to know, well, gosh, maybe I need to have this outside perspective so that I can ask this person what to do. So what I've seen a lot of people do is follow these programs online, which there's many great ones, but there's also some that aren't as helpful and they'll just follow the directions and not get any results from it. But when you walk alongside with someone you can talk with on a weekly or monthly basis and ask questions, like real questions. When a customer says this, what do I say? Or when my numbers are not hitting where I want them, what do I do? Like, can help you strategize and look from like that outside third party perspective. Because when we're business owners, we get very emotionally involved with our business, which is great, but sometimes it's not because we can't take that bird's eye view like a coach or a mentor could and be able to guide you in the directions. Because ultimately that coach or mentor should know what your goals are, right? And then they will help you continue to stay on that path and not get squirrely and stay focused to get to where you want to be.
Yes.
I think every business owner should have a coach at some point in their journey.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I tried to go it alone for a few years because I came from 20 years of corporate experience in marketing and business, and not trying to say, I knew it all or whatever, but I was like, I know a lot. I've built businesses from the ground up. I've, turned them from a startup into a multi-billion-dollar company. I think I can build my own small business from home, probably pretty well. But yeah, I think the thing is that I found was I couldn't see my own blind spots. I knew what I wanted, 100%. I was like, you ask me what I want, bang, I can tell you. So it wasn't like I'm not sure what I want, but I didn't know necessarily was the fastest path to get there. So making lots of mistakes, not really. I didn't have anything to learn from because I hadn't been there before. So
that insight that I think someone can bring can be so powerful to help you fast track through. And my blind spots, like, how can I see my own blind spots? Because they are my blind spots. And I think for me, that was when I invested in coaching, was like, right, okay, it's okay, but I'm going slower than what I wanted. I know that there's some things that I just can't see and I need help to see them because I can't see them with my own eyes. And that, I think, for me was definitely the value, was being able to see myself through a different perspective and see what I was doing, like getting out of your head,
Yes.
having an out of body experience and actually being able to look at it and be like, why am I doing that? Like, why am I repeating this behavior? Or I'm here, I'm stuck. So do you, with this coaching, something that was coming up was, or mentoring, are you sitting there with clients on a one-to-one basis and helping them, mentoring them? Like, I know that you run a community, which I'm really interested to hear about, because you must have plenty of members. And I'm like, well, how do you do that on that scale? Because when you're working with someone in that close contact, you can really see what is in front of them, or how they're stuck, or where they're stuck. And why I found it hard to detach from my online programs, just being online without the coaching. I'm like, here's the sort of the framework and, the steps, but I can't seem to pull away from actually being physically present and helping people through it, because that's what really gets them the results. So even with my main course, Business Jam, its primary method is with VIP coaching. We do 10 weeks of coaching together, because I know that's what helps get you the results, because you can ask the questions. You're like, I'm a little bit stuck. And so, how do you do that on scale, or through, when you're like, we're providing a mentorship experience or community for people? What does that look like for somebody to get?
So that's a great question, because I've done both. I've done the one-on-one and I've done more of the group. And if I'm being transparent, I'm really kind of testing the waters to see what works best. And I don't have a definitive answer quite yet, but I will tell you that when I work one-on-one with people, it's so fulfilling for me. And I'm hoping it's fulfilling for my person that I'm working with too, because you get to walk alongside someone and really, like I said before, get to know them and their business and their goals. And I was going to say hold their hand, but link arms with them, really, with their business dreams, and hold them accountable and have that third party perspective. It's so rewarding. And then giving them, applicable steps to be able to get to what they're doing. It's not always rah. I mean, we want to rah to some extent, but it's real life things that you should be doing that maybe it's hard to hear or hard to do, but you should be doing. And then as far as like the group coaching goes, so what I have is called the Blush Pages. It's a membership, and you pay $14.99 a month, and we're doing 3 months free right now, which is great. But you pay and you have access to the community, which you can take advantage of or not. And then you have access to the library, which has PDFs and audio files and Zoom calls and lots of resources. My hope is that people will go and consume the information and then go over to the community and ask questions. What normally happens is people will message me privately and ask the questions, which I'm totally fine with. But the beauty with a group coaching is when people ask the questions and other people see, that person has that same question as I do. And then they get to learn from that. It's really incredible, but it just depends on, do you like that one-on-one or do you like the group? And I like both, but what I'm learning is that the one-on-one, like, because you do this, it's time consuming. So you can only serve a certain number of people to be able to serve them well and to be able to be a mom. And with a group setting, you have the ability to serve more people on a bigger scale. It just isn't as personalized. So it just depends, like what season you're in your life. I put a pause on my one-on-one coaching, but I do plan to bring it back towards the end of this year, because like I said, I really do love it, but I'm trying to hold boundaries are a big thing for me with my business, because I want to be present with my children and my spouse, and I can't do all the things. I want to do all the things. I think I can do all the things, but I can't. So learning my boundaries, but did that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. And I love this. We're kind of just having a chat about it because I've been in that same place. I started with one-to-one. I started group because I thought, well, this will help me help more people because I don't have the time to have all the one-to-one. But what I found, which is so interesting, is that because I do small groups, it's not a group of hundreds on a call together. So you've got a small group. One person might ask a question and somebody else on the call didn't even realize that that was something that they were missing or struggling with or had going on in their business. And they've just had this big oh my God, I have just realized that I am doing exactly that. And the coaching that one person's getting on their hot seat is so valuable to the others in that room. That's what I think is a real benefit of actually this group experience, because if you'd been one-on-one, you may not have actually asked that question because you didn't know that you didn't know it. You didn't know that it was there. And even though a coach might kind of see your blind spot, if that's the thing, sometimes stuff that they hadn't even brought up, they hadn't even been talking about, they didn't think was a problem, right? And that's where I'm leaning so much more towards my groups, because I just see the transformations happen on a much more amplified scale. One-to-one is absolutely fantastic. Yes, we do. You get a lot of time, you get a lot of me. So I only do 3 at a time because I can't have my brain as full with everybody's business. That's sort of my limit. But yeah, the groups, I get very personal still with them, and they all get to know each other, and it ends up being this really beautiful, supportive environment where they are happy. We get tears, we have breakdowns, we have breakthroughs, we have it all. It's amazing. But I don't know whether it would have happened at quite that level in a one-to-one, which is amazing, isn't it? Because you think, well, that is your highest level of, you can access me privately, that's the top. But I always say to people, you know what, you might be thinking group isn't for you, but it's can just be. The value I've seen is amazing, and it's hard to explain until you've experienced it. But I know that, for a lot of my clients, they would agree. They'd be like, yes, it was so good to be in that group environment. So it brings it to an interesting place, because then you can go, well, I'm not limited to mentorship in a one-to-one place. I could actually join a group or a community, and I can get the level of mentorship that might be far exceeding expectations, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sure that, so with your community, do you see that there's a lot of benefit for people being even just in the community, if they're not on their own? Obviously they've got your great resources to consume, but what do you think is so beneficial to people sort of being part of a community like that?
Well, I think, as humans, we're wired to be together, and being able to be a part of something online with people from all over the place is something pretty unique and special. And what you said before is how when people are in a group setting and someone asks a question and they see that question and they didn't even know that was something that they were dealing with, but now they do, it is I think so beneficial. So incredibly beneficial. The other part of it too is that a lot of times people can hide in groups too, and just be flies on the wall, which is, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. But for those that are brave enough to converse with each other and ask questions and start the conversations, even if it's a private conversation. I get messages all the time where people message me and say, hey, I saw this other person in the community ask this question and I reached out to them, and now we're having this great conversation. I love seeing that. I love hearing that. So one other thing I was going to say before is that I'm part of a group coaching experience, and it has completely changed my business. So just all of the points that you've said, where you're in a setting and people ask a question that you were either afraid to ask or didn't know was the issue, it grows you at the very core of you. It grows you. And I love it.
Yes. It's so, something that I think is funny when you think, well, a few years ago, if you'd asked me, would you go online in a big Zoom with a group of strangers? Maybe it's not big, but there's enough people there. You don't know them.
and share like your deepest fears and stuff and cry. I would have laughed. I would have been like, yeah, I can't see myself doing that. I'll probably sit back and watch. Right. But the funny thing was that I was like, you know what? I'm in this for a reason. I joined this group coaching program. And if I don't get involved, if I don't participate, I'm kind of on the sidelines. And yes, I'll still get insights and inspiration. But if I put up my hand to be like, I'll be on the hot seat, or I've got a question, and you actually get to be the person there being coached with everyone else, it's just such a different experience, which is why it's like I've now gone, I'm not going to be afraid of asking the question. I'm not going to be afraid of sharing where I'm at or saying I'm struggling with this, or I can't figure this out. It's okay to be like that. I've had to work through all those levels of perfectionism, like, I'm a high achiever. No, I should be able to know this, and I should be leading, and it shows weakness. It's like, no, that is all absolute nonsense. We've all been here before. We'll all be here again. Like, you've been through so many different phases in your business life. Would you say that you felt like you reach a new level and then it's all fresh and new kind of again? And
yes.
And then we're back to the like, oh, I've got to figure this out. I'm not really sure where that next bit is. You don't have so much of that clear vision.
Yes. And it's frustrating because what you said before about how you have the perfectionism and high achiever, like as you were saying that, I was like, me too. It's tough but that's just part of it, right? That's just part of the journey as a business owner is you are always learning and improving.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard sometimes, but that's okay. That's part of it.
Yeah. I think it's, when you commit to the transformation, you're like, well, it's not linear and there's not a deadline or a time frame. There's no end, right? I'm in this and it's my life. It's me. My business is kind of part of me. It's growing with me. When I decide to stop doing it, it'll stop. But it's like that whole committing to continual transformation and change, I think then opens you up to be able to make some of those changes and transform faster. Because would you how long ago did you join your group coaching program that you're in, and have you seen a big difference from before to since you've been in it?
So I was in one, I was in a different one a few years ago, and then this one I joined last year. So at first, I'll be honest, when I first joined these group programs, I was like what you'd said earlier. I didn't want to ask any questions. I just wanted to sit back and listen. And there are days where I still do that, but there is the magic happens when you're vulnerable enough to talk. And one other thing you said too was you had asked me a few years ago if I'd be on a Zoom call with all these strangers talking about my deepest, darkest things and crying. No, I probably wouldn't have done that. But I think we've been forced to be in a situation where in order to connect and grow, we had to change things and adapt. And the more we're doing it and practicing it, the better we're getting at it. And it doesn't feel as weird anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't feel weird. And, except when you stand back and look at it and you think, that is strange. I'm sure if I told someone else in my normal life that that's what I do, they'd be like, really? But I think the value in it, when I think about the difference in it's not only helping me as a business owner, but it's helping me be a better coach and mentor to my clients. So everything that I'm gaining from the program I'm in, I'm then feeding that energy, the insights into my programs. And that's really what I'm like, well, that's a huge ripple effect benefit that I never even thought of. Like I was in it for me to be like, well, I know that I want to grow and I want to get better and I want to reach those new heights and places that I really want to get to. But I hadn't thought about just the value of that transformation and what that means for everything else, because it flows, doesn't it? It flows through you and out to everybody. So I have a question that because I was on your website before we connected, and you mentioned before that you're an Enneagram certified person. I don't know if there's a name for it.
Enneagram coach.
You're an Enneagram coach and you're number 9. Now I know of the Enneagram, pretty sure I'm a number 7, but I have no idea what any of those mean. So I was just curious about the Enneagram in particular and how you find that helps you in what you do with mentoring people. Does that help to define how you guide them? And yeah, can you share a bit about that with us?
I love talking about this. So here we go. Okay. So when I first found the Enneagram, or sometimes I say the Enneagram found me, I read my results. So I took the test, I read my results, and I was like, oh my gosh, somebody is in my head and has been following me around for my whole life. This is freaking me out. It's weird. This person doesn't know me. So I started really diving into my specific. So I'm an Enneagram 9, which is the peacemaker. And my core desire is to not have any conflict internally or externally. And I already knew that about myself, but being able to dive into understanding what that looks like kind of at the core has helped me so much. Let me tell you why. Because when you understand who you are and how you view the world, then you give yourself this grace and this permission slip to really be who you are. And that translates to you in your personal life. But I've seen a huge transformation in business because it affects how you view your business, how you market yourself, how you show up online. It gives me goosebumps because I'm so passionate about helping people understand how they're wired. Because in this day and age where social media is so prevalent, we get in the trap of copying people, right? And comparing ourselves to what everybody else is doing, even if we don't know them. And I try to help people understand who they are and how they're wired so that they don't do that. And it translates to business as well. When you understand when you're stressed and when you're growing, and that's every number goes to a certain number. And when you understand your number, you know what that looks like. And how that helped me specifically was I am usually a glass half full optimist person. But I notice that when I'm stressed out, I start to go to, oh my gosh, but what if, and all these bad things are going to happen. And I'm terrible at this. And I start to spiral. And I used to think to myself before I knew I was stressed, I used to think to myself, gosh, what's wrong with you? Why are you in this mood? This is not you. But now that I know that those are the thoughts that happen and the actions that happen when I'm stressed out, then I can step back and say, what's stressing you out? Is there stuff that going on with homework, with the kids' sports, with other things in business? Like what's going on? How can I step back and really evaluate the situation versus you're crazy? Why are you thinking like that? And also I know what it looks like when I'm growing and I'm creative and I'm strategic and I'm really gung-ho. I know what that looks like too. And I can then, celebrate that. So it really, knowing your Enneagram is, to me, it's one of the secret weapons to building a business.
Wow. That's awesome because, I don't know much about the Enneagram. I've done Myers-Briggs and I'm learning a bit about human design. But I think, what you're just saying is understanding yourself and, how you're wired. What is your natural way and what isn't? Because then you can start to stop comparing yourself to everybody else out there and thinking, why can't I do that? Or why is it so hard for me? And I think, partly we can just be our own worst critics. I think I work with women, I think we are so in tune with other people and looking at ourselves and comparing and really, I guess, reflecting so much of our external instead of being like, okay, I'm just going to not worry about that. I'm in my groove. This is my lane and I'm just going to be me and share that. The difference and the power that comes from that is incredible. But, one of the things, I guess, I'm not sure if the Enneagram goes into it, but I found it useful to understand my strengths in looking for people to support me. So knowing that I'm a big picture person, the details and the rigid rules and that kind of stuff really bore me. I'm like, it's not my zone. I might make a process and then I want to change it the next time I look at it because I'll be like, I can see how it could be better. So for me, following those kind of things is not where I'm naturally suited. And also my human design, I'm a manifesting generator. So I'm like, I have the vision and I'll go, this is how we're going to do it. And then I'm on to the next thing.
So I need an implementer. I need the people who love the detail, who love the process, who love that stuff and getting it done, so that I can kind of go, this is the vision, here it is, and let's now make it happen.
Me too. I'm a manifesting generator also.
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I didn't realize, I mean, I can make myself sit down and do something. I've, been good at problem solving and that type of thing. But when I look back at my whole life, it's like, I'll go, yes, I want to paint the bathroom, and I'll get all this stuff and get it all happening. And then it's like, towards the end, it's like really draining. I just don't want to keep doing it. I don't want to finish it off. I want to move on. I'm on to the next vision.
Yes.
So yes, it's so handy, isn't it? Knowing that about yourself, and then knowing, well, I need to hire for my weaknesses, so that we're a good team. And, or even if it's a VA or anybody supporting you, knowing how you can work together and not just hiring someone who's the same as you, because then you'll have lots of people who love all the vision stuff and you're doing the doing.
And that won't do anybody any good. Somebody just shared with me, I'm looking it up because I wanted, maybe you've heard of it. It's called the high five test. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, I hadn't either. And someone told me recently the high five test, it gives you like the top 5 things that you're really good at. The next 5 things are things that you should navigate. The next 5 things are things you should leverage. And the last 5 things are things you should delegate. And so I'm going to go take that test because I love personality type tests anyway. I love Myers-Briggs. I love DISC assessment. I love all the things that just help you understand how you're wired a little bit better.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah, me too. And I find it really handy in dealing with people as well, because if you can type them a little bit and you can understand where they're coming from and their energy, it's so much easier to help them and to help them sort of see where they can go. So I think knowing yourself helps you to know other people better, which is great, isn't it? You think, gosh, we should teach so much more of this human, I don't know what you call it, human intelligence at school, at high school. Like, how much more useful would that be? This is how you communicate with people. This is how to understand people are different. They're not all thinking the same as you. Yeah. So it would be so valuable. Yes. Wow. This has been very, very interesting conversation. I think such an important topic to talk about, mentorship and coaching. And, I have a free community that I'm in, and I say to people, it doesn't really matter who you feel aligned to, but find somebody who you feel aligned to and get the support. Because if you're sitting there at home on your own, working online, and all you're getting is all the stuff on social media telling you, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you're going to feel stressed and overwhelmed and all of those things. And just the value that you can have, like Melissa, sharing just the changes that you've had in your life and what's been possible with having mentoring support and, learning all of those things and reaching those levels. Would you say that you wouldn't have done that without having a mentor?
I would say that's probably pretty true. Or at least I wouldn't have been as brave to make some of the leaps that I did in my business. So I probably wouldn't be as far along as I am had I not had mentorship.
Yes. Yeah. So amazing. So if someone is interested in, reaching out to you and learning a bit more about you, or having a look at the Blush Pages community that you run, could you tell us how they can find you, connect with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my favorite place to hang out is on Instagram, and you can find me at Koehler, and it's Koehler. It's almost like the toilets and the faucets, but it has me.
I'll link that
and then my website is melissakoehler.net, and you can find all the information about the Blush Pages and about me all on there.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will make sure that we link those up in the show notes. And do you have any final takeaway thought, piece of advice, something you wish that you'd known 10 years ago that you'd like to share with the audience just as the final piece?
I am going to sound super cheesy and cliche, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you have a dream and you want to make that dream a reality into a business, you have everything that you need. You just need to do it. And there's plenty of people out there that will help you organize those thoughts and help you get to where you need to be. But don't be afraid to jump. Don't be afraid to do it. I wish that I would have done it a little bit sooner, but I was afraid. You can do it. You've got this.
That is incredible. I so agree. Would I think anybody think, well, I wish I'd done that sooner? And, the insight looking back is, well, what stopped me from taking action? And it's probably like, is it the right choice? And that's where, would you say someone who's thinking, well, I don't know, is this going to be the right thing? What do you say to them? What do you answer to that question?
Is this going to be the right thing, or should I do this? Who's telling you that you shouldn't? Is it you? Are you telling yourself? Are you questioning yourself? Or is it someone else? I would guess it's most likely you. And you need to switch that thought process into being your very biggest cheerleader and telling yourself that you are incredible and you're amazing and you have everything that it takes to do this, and then go do it.
Yeah.
We get in our own way. We're the ones that stop us most of the time.
Yes.
Get out of your own way. Be your biggest cheerleader instead of your biggest critic, and go.
Love it. Thank you. That has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all of your amazing experiences and insights with us. It's been a really fun conversation. So I hope that you've enjoyed it too, and everyone has enjoyed listening along with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so great.
Have you ever wondered what might happen if you added an online course or an online membership to your business? Now, what could that bring you? What are the possibilities? What is the earning potential? And when I tell you that when I made the decision to lean in and focus on creating and launching my own program, which is called Business Jam, I was able to add an extra 100K to my business in just a year. Then I'm sure you'll agree that that was a really, really good decision. It really helped me to scale and grow beyond what was even remotely possible before that. And the reason why I was able to do that in just 1 year wasn't because I already knew everything and I knew what to do and I knew how to launch and marketing. No, it wasn't any of that. Actually, I had never launched an online course before. I'd never built one before. I was completely new, learning it all from scratch. And that's why I invested in a program to help me jump through all that learning a lot faster, to stop the second guessing, to give me a really great roadmap so that I wouldn't make some of the really simple mistakes that many people make trying to create and launch an online course all on their own. Now, this program opens up only once a year, and the time it's opening for 2022 happens to be right now. So I thought it was a good time to mention it. And if you'd like to have a look and see what it is and whether it might be right for you, is it going to be a right fit for you or not? Well, I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But the link for this program, it is called Business by Design by my mentor and coach, James Wedmore, who is one of the, I guess we call him the gurus of the internet world, the internet marketing world. He's been a game changer really for my business. I've met him in person earlier this year because, yes, I'm still in the program. This is now my second year. We're coming up to the end of it. And, it's really helped me to grow a huge deal. And I went over to the US just a few months ago to meet him in person and attend our in-person retreat, which is for his accelerator coaching group that I'm in. Yes, it's definitely worthwhile, but it isn't going to be for everybody. I'm going to let you make that decision. I just wanted to share this opportunity with you because it comes around only once a year. And I know that when I first wanted to join, I didn't join the first time because I don't know why. I had a little bit of fear and whatever, and I had to wait a whole year to get in again. Right when I did join, I launched Business Jam for the first time just 3 weeks later. So I was literally on the fire hydrant, drinking in as much of the learning as I could in that time. I launched Business Jam and it was a 5-figure launch straight up for my very first one, my founding members launch. So yes, it was absolutely 100% worthwhile for me. And I hope it would be worthwhile for you if it's the right fit for you. So head over and have a look at Business by Design, please grab the link from the show notes there. That'll take you right to the correct page and see what it would be like for you. Maybe you can make this your year to have your transformation and to take your business to a whole new level, just like I did.